I'm going to hyperventilate. Hello. Let me see here. We can see if we are live now. There's always a little bit of delay, but hopefully people will be able to see the stream now. I'm also going to check in the box now. So there will probably be about a 30-second delay, I think. So yes, now we're definitely live. So
yeah.
Yep. Hey everyone. As you can see, I am not alone today. I am actually in the great company of my two fellow sewing YouTubers, Nateida and Myra, because today's topic is a wonderful project that they are running every year. So I am absolutely thrilled to be able to introduce them to you guys in just a minute here. And I just want to say thank you so much for coming and watching. This will be the last live stream before the summer. And I want to go out with a bang. So that's why I put on my first ever on-air guest to make sure that I really did something very special today. So it's a big day for me as well. And I'm very honored to have you guys here. So also, because it's going to be an interview format, but I also want to make sure that you please ask questions, and I will keep an eye on the chat because I'm sure you have some questions as well for Nateida and Myra. So I will just keep an eye on that and ask them. So, we're going to be a nice flow. And I also want to say hi to everyone in the chat. Hi, Kyle from New Jersey. We have Donalyn from SoCal, and we have Libby from Northern California. We have Maggie from Michigan in USA. And we have also Chanova from Maryland. We have a lot of people from the States today. That's really great. And also that's one of the fun things about doing this live stream, because I really do get people from, the entire globe. So everyone that has a time zone that fits is usually hanging out. So that's really awesome. Sherry from Washington. Hi, Sherry. So welcome so very, very much. And also going to see from Creole and Canyon Living from Delaware. So as I said, I have two guests today. I have Nateida, which you also know as SewNaturalDane, and Myra, which you also know as Myra Lorraine on YouTube. And if you haven't already, please check out their YouTube channels. I've also linked to those in the description section, and I'm also going to put up their Instagram handles, during the conversation now, so you can, if you want to follow them if you haven't already. So, and the reason, as I said, why I'm doing this live stream today is because Nateida and Myra runs a yearly Instagram challenge, which is called Black History Month Pattern Designers Challenge, and it runs in February each year. And you've done it for 2 years now, right? And what you do is that you are encouraging people to discover and sew patterns from Black designers, pattern designers, which, let's be real, they are not given the same kind of platform than a lot of other people. So this is one of the reasons why this is such a fantastic initiative. And it's also amazing to see how powerful it can be to use social media, in this case, Instagram and YouTube primarily, if I'm correct, to give a platform and encourage designers and encourage us to discover more designers that we may not even be aware of otherwise. But before we start talking about that, I definitely want to introduce you. So I'm going to start with you first, Nateida. If you want to introduce yourself and tell me a little bit about your sewing journey.
Well, for those who don't know me, I am Nateida, also known as SewNaturalDane on Instagram and on YouTube. I have been sewing pretty much since I was in grade school. I actually was taught by my mother, and I sewed through about middle school. I did a whole fashion show. I remember doing that. And then through high school, kind of left it. College, definitely didn't do any sewing. And then I picked it back up here and there, and I was doing home decor type stuff for a little while, then dropped it again, and then picked it back up years later. So it was off and on. And then in the past 4 years, I have been sewing now consistently and just working on fit and different things of that nature. So it has been a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful journey over the past few years.
Thank you, Nateida. That was really wonderful to hear. And now I'm going to leave it to you, Myra, for you to introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Myra Lorraine, also One So Sweet on Instagram. And I've been sewing for a very, very long time. I started when I was a young lad, sewing on with my hand for my Barbie doll. And my mom saw that I was really into the sewing, like my aunt, who was a seamstress. And she bought me my first sewing machine when I was 13 years old. So I've been sewing with a sewing machine consistently for over 50 years. So I've been sewing quite some time, and I love it, and I will never stop. I will be sewing until I die.
Thank you so much, Myra. And I think a lot of us can attest to this, right? That we cannot stop sewing. It's such an addictive hobby, right? Because sometimes we find hobbies and, you know, we are passionate about them for a while and then we get kind of bored, you know, it goes in ebb and flows. But I find it interesting that so many people that I talk to never really seem to, you know, totally fall out, because as you grown up, you know, when you fall back into it, it's definitely it's like there's always so much to learn, right? There are so many things to discover, and you know, you know, there's always a new thing, and there's always comes out new patterns that you want to try. And of course, we also have this wonderful community that is like so encouraging as well, which to me has been one of the best things as well, because I have also been like sewing nonstop since I was about 11, but you know, I've definitely fallen in love with sewing much more when the sewing internet started to happen. Like for me, that has been such a beneficial like added bonus of having this community and, you know, sharing stuff and, you know, all that stuff. So I'm very, very happy to hear you and your stories as well. And we also have people here saying, Luana says, I follow both these ladies, so you have some fans here already in the chat. And I think you will have a bunch more fans once the chat is over. So as I said, the topic today of today's live stream is how can we support diversity in sewing? And I couldn't think of anyone better to talk about this topic than Myra and Nateida, because you have put a lot of consideration into this, and not just consideration, you also put it into action. And I just bring up the chat. I'm going to go very high tech here, right? The hashtag, right? Free pray. So this is the hashtag you need to follow if you haven't already, because this is definitely something that is a fantastic way to discover a lot of designers that aren't given the same kind of platform than a lot of other people. So, and this is what I want to talk with you guys first. But before we start that, as Black Americans and your sewing journey, when did you become aware of the lack of representation? Was it and diversity? Was it like a process, or was it something that you discovered like from an early point?
You want to go first, Nateida?
Yeah, you can go first, Myra.
Okay. Well, for me, I know exactly when it started for me. It was about 15 years ago, and I don't know, I may have talked to you about this, Nateida, but I was following a magazine, a pattern magazine. And I started noticing, I purchased probably about 2 of them, I believe it was. And I started noticing that there was a lack of diversity in the magazine. And I just couldn't I let it go. And I continued, I think I bought about 6 of their patterns, but I stopped. After, I can't remember what year it was, and maybe if you guys will remember, there was some Instagram buzz around people of color not being in magazines or in sewing magazines. And there was a lot of buzz around that and talk about, you know, why won't they change and why aren't they doing this and that? And when I noticed that even after all of that buzz, this company still did not, and still to this day, as far as I know, does not display, and it's a very popular one, does not display many cultures in the magazine. So I stopped purchasing their patterns altogether, because if I can't use my voice, I can use my dollars, and I can use my voice when I can. Now I have a platform, and you pick your battles. That's the one thing. You have to know when and where is the right time. But for me, I don't give my money to anyone that doesn't support any people like me. And so for me, it was 15 years ago that I noticed that, and that now I continue to watch for that. If I notice something like that, I mean, to be honest with you, if anybody out there, would you want to purchase from someone who doesn't support you and the likeness of you, I would think the answer to that would be yes. So that's just the way I feel about it. So for me, it was about 15 years ago, and it's consistent now.
Thank you so much for sharing this, Myra. And I think many can relate to your journey, I'm sure. And what has been your process and thoughts regarding this, Nateida?
For me, it probably came to light around the time that the whole BHM pattern designers concept had came about. I remember it was a few months, Myra probably remember better than me, but it was a few months before February. And full disclosure, February is my birthday month. So yes. I knew I always want to sew something special for my birthday. But then one day I just got to thinking that, oh, why not highlight Black pattern designers? At the time, I didn't know very many. I only knew just a couple. And then I had started doing all this research. And it was also during that time, as Myra stated, that I noticed in other pattern companies, whether it was indie or the big commercial, just did not have representation of women of color, be it Black or Hispanic, Asian, whatever, on their covers. And I'm thinking, no, for Black History Month, I want to bring up a sewing challenge that strategically go after and support Black pattern designers, because there really wasn't a platform for that. And so I thought it would be something fun to do. Didn't know how it would be received. The first year and second year has been received very well, but it was really during that time. And like Myra said, you really do, for me also, you really do want to support those who support you as well in other ways. And so that was probably the time when I really, really realized it a couple years ago.
And that's also, I think that's also interesting that you should share this, that even though the fact has also always been there, that it's like a process to actually seeing it, because we're so like almost brainwashed with the the stereotype and the norm or whatever it is, and that's really touching for me to hear that even from your perspective, it has been like a process where you actually one day was so clear, but from the beginning it wasn't, because we have all been brought up with with certain look of how a model in a fashion magazine should look like. I mean, for how a person who is the CEO of a company should look like. So sometimes we don't even reflect on the fact that there's a large population that isn't seen in those arenas, and that's so important to be mindful of that. And I'm very happy that you didn't just realize this, that you also took action. And I really like to know, could you talk a little bit about your discussion? Because when you, as you say, Nateida, it was like, we got to do something, right? We have to make this happen. So what was the process like? What was the conversation between you guys about, and how did you find these pattern designers that hasn't been given the platform? So I'm really curious to hear you talk a little bit about that.
Okay, now let me say this first, and I'm going to move it over to Nateida, because this is Nateida's brainchild. It truly is 100%. And when she came to me, I was a little, because I'm one that's very conservative, but I do have a voice and I will use it when necessary. So I was a little hesitant about ruffling feathers, if you will. And then I thought about it by myself without talking to my husband or anything. I thought about it to myself, and I said, well, doggone it. This is the problem, why that magazine is not showing more diverse people. Here's my chance to actually vocally say something about it. So I told Nateida a big yes. As a Black woman who wants, more diverse cultures. And when I say diverse, I'm not just talking about Blacks, although we're talking about Blacks right now, because right now we're in a serious problem. We have everybody can agree, we have a serious problem going on. But I'm talking about all cultures when I say there was no diversity in this magazine at all. And so when she reached out to me, I thought about it only that way because I'm conservative. I don't like to ruffle feathers, but this has to be ruffled. So I joined in, And I said, okay, what can I do? And then she told me, you know, some of the things that she was thinking about. And oh my God, all I can say is this woman is freaking amazing, because she started pulling all of these things together, and I'll let you tell her how she came about that. And I was like, what in the world? So Nateida, I'll let you take over from there.
Yeah, it was. And I thought of Myra because I think at the time, Myra, we were talking more and more maybe offline and different things of that nature. So I felt very comfortable with Myra. And I knew that at the time she was hosting another show. And I figured, oh, she probably wouldn't mind help hosting this too. But excuse me. But what I started doing was, again, I had very limited knowledge of Black pattern designers. I only knew a couple at the time. So
Wow.
I just used the friendly Google and
Wow.
just Googled my heart out. And plus, let me just say, besides Googling for Black pattern designers, because I follow so many people in the sewing community on Instagram, I started really, this is probably when my awareness heightened on paying attention to what people post, not just, oh, they posted a pretty outfit or a dress or something like that. I really started paying more attention to people's captions in their posts for a couple reasons. One, because sometimes what they're posting has a story. Maybe they've gone through a difficult time and this is the first thing that they've sewn in that difficult time. But what I have discovered in doing that is that a lot of people, a lot of posts would acknowledge or shout out a Black pattern designer, or maybe it was a vintage Black pattern designer, but they were a pattern designer for maybe a big four. So that's how that list started accumulating. A lot of the Black pattern designers, a majority of them, I will say, are from commercial patterns, from pattern designers from years ago, like your well, Kalela Ali still does designs, but you have some of the newer pattern designers as well. And then, of course, you have the indie pattern companies that are now coming out. At the time, I think I only knew of Style Sew Me, Erin with Style Sew Me, and also she doesn't do patterns anymore, but Cherie from My Daily Threads, she had a couple patterns out. And then I also knew, and I pronounced her name wrong. Myra, correct me if I'm wrong, or Johanna, if you can pronounce her name better. But Butte Jador.
Yeah.
Beauty.
She does patterns for
maybe.
yeah,
I know.
But she also has her own set of patterns as well. So those were the only ones I really like hardcore knew about. So it took a concerted effort on my end to really start doing research, looking at people posts. And as you start going down that rabbit hole, as we all know, when you're on Instagram and you go down any rabbit hole of research, you just open the floodgates up to everything. So once I started going down that rabbit hole and everything like that, I was like, oh, there are so many Black pattern designers. And then not to mention, we also included, even though the focus was sewing Black pattern designers patterns, we made sure that included knitting as well. The knitting, I don't knit, I have not knitted, but I know that there are a lot of Black pattern knitting designers out there. So I wanted to make sure I included that, as well as different fabric companies and things of that nature. Everything that's in our whole creative space that I can include in the challenge is what my aim was. So it took a lot of Googling, a lot of following people on Instagram, a lot of research in the websites and different things of that nature. So it was a process.
And that also speaks volumes. I mean, your story tells us a lot about how little platform and spotlight a lot of these designers have been given in the past, because I'm pretty sure many of us can mention quite a few independent companies and pattern designers and, you know, bloggers. I mean, Beauty Diado, she's quite prolific, right? But a lot of the other people haven't, you know, been perhaps brought us to the same attention, I think. So it's really wonderful that you did it. And I'm curious about when you did your first challenge last year in 2019, and how many, when you were done with that rabbit hole, right? And how many names did you have when you came up again from that search?
Gosh, I never counted. I actually never counted. Did you ever count, Myra?
No, but we have those lists, both Nateida and I actually reposted mine in my highlights today, so that it's fresh and in the front.
Good.
We have a list of all of the designers and the fabric companies, but there was quite a big list.
That's really good to say that.
Pretty extensive, and one of the things that I guess I can say here on the on this platform too. One of the things, like Myra said, is usually we put the list in our Instagram highlights, right. You know, refresh that and share that out there. Stay tuned. I will have a website up very soon. I am working diligently in the background so that there is a placeholder for that type of information, because not everyone has Instagram, and they're surprisingly enough, there are a lot of people don't really know how to use Instagram, and they're not on Facebook. So it'll be nice to have a website that will host all of this type of information, and hold it, and so people can just easily go back to it. And that's something that I can consistently keep updated as new pattern designers come out and different things of that nature. I will definitely keep that. So that will be coming soon. Just stay tuned.
Yeah, that's really awesome to hear, because I was thinking about that, and I'm sure many people now in the chat is, where is that list, right? And what Nateida and Myra says, that first of all, Myra has posted today on her highlights again the list, and also if you go back right to your Instagram feed, and of course, if you also search the hashtag, again, I'm just going to bring that up. You can also follow along. I also know that when you were interviewed at the So Organized podcast earlier this year, they also posted a resource list at that in their show notes as well. So, but I'm really, really happy to hear that, Nateida, because also I think a lot of people now are going to Google and basically searching for this particular topic, and Instagram, that is an issue because it's not easy to find, but so I'm very, very happy that you're compiling this resource, and I think that will be extremely appreciated by everyone here as well, because we can't name all the wonderful sewing creatives on your list. So in this live stream, unfortunately, but stay tuned and follow Myra and Nateida on their various channels, and I'm going to put the banners up so you can follow again, but also in the description section you can also find information how to follow them. So that was the first year, and this year it was the second year. So how has the reception been for this initiative?
I think it was really successful. That first year, we had approximately, I think we had over 80 participants for the first year. That was amazing to me. I was just beyond floored for that. And while I don't have the numbers for the second year just floored me that much more, because it was more diverse. I mean, you guys just showed up and showed out. That's all I can say. It was amazing. And I think that people were really looking for it, because some of the comments I received, and Nateida can say about hers, but some of the comments that I received were, thank you for this. We've been looking for something like this. How can I, participate? Here are the rules. Just, you go out and you do this. Hope you're bringing us back next year. Those kind of, so to me, it was very successful. You, Nateida?
Yes, it really was. And we had a little over that amount for this year, if I remember correctly. Like Myra said, it was definitely more diverse, and just a lot more participation, and a lot of people just sharing. And I think that's what helped. Additionally, this year is that we had ambassadors help us out, and which helped us promote it more. And that really, really, really helped us big time. Because it is, as you all know, for those who run challenges and everything, it can be a challenge to keep run a challenge. Then you still have your everyday life, working full time and trying to keep up with everything. It's nice to have that help where people are helping share and spread the word and different things of that nature.
Right.
And the challenge runs like this, right? That you of course you pick a designer, a person, a Black person as a sewing or textile entrepreneur, if we're going to be a bit wider here. And then of course you hashtag the BHM pattern designers, and of course we hashtag One So Sweet, Myra, and SewNaturalDane.
Yeah.
And those are very simple rules, right? And also you have giveaways, so you also pick a winner. So that also means a lot of administration as well, you know. And also, of course, you also highlight the ones that are making the garments, right, during this process. So
Yes.
I can imagine it's a lot of work, but it also creates a lot of engagement, of course. And I'm also really curious to know what has been the reaction from the designers that, you know, you came and you gave them this gift, basically saying, okay, now it's your time to shine, right? And we're going to help you.
Not just the designers, but some of our supporters. That changed as well with the second year. We have a lot of diverse designers. And as you know, all of you viewers here, your lovely host was one of our supporters of this year's challenge. So, oh my gosh, Nateida, it was amazing. It really was.
Yes, and I think everyone, all of the different sponsors and whatnot that we have, just really appreciate it. Even those who weren't as well known as others or as diverse in the sewing community known in the sewing community really just appreciate it. Just that, you know, supporting them as well. Yes, they are, you know, you all were sponsors of us, but it's a reciprocation where we help you, you help us, and it's just fun. It's bringing everyone together.
And I think the designers they were floored by the response too, and and putting them out there and displaying them helped them as well, because we had some of them, they came in and even added more than they had already offered us to sponsor for. They came back later and gave us even more. So that's nice. That's really nice.
Yeah, that's wonderful to hear. And now I'm also sure a lot of people are, of course, eagerly waiting for, hopefully, February 2021. Will there be a comeback of this challenge in next year?
It will. It is coming back. Again, working. What is this, June? Usually around, is it July, August?
Yes.
Myra, we start talking about what we're thinking about and different things towards the end of the summer. And we start getting our list together, reaching back out to sponsors, different things of that nature. So yes, things are already in the works this year.
We've already been talking about it.
That's so great. That's so great to hear, because I think your example is I know, of course, there's a lot of work that goes behind the scenes, but the premise of the challenge and the initiative is very easy to understand and follow. And of course, also the brilliant thing about this challenge is also because it gives so much exposure, because everyone is sharing the makes. So even those that don't participate in the challenge are given a much more diverse exposure to more people who are doing creative things in the entrepreneurial space. So which is also a wonderful thing. So it's like it's a spin-off, a spiral. Now I'm going to say the wrong word, because, as you know, probably know, English is not my first language.
You're doing well.
Like, you know, water rings on the water, like spreading, you know, and they just become larger and larger, and that kind of ripple effect, in a way. That's what I'm seeing with this challenge. So I'm very happy to hear that you guys are doing this, and hopefully also it will grow. I mean, because that is what usually what happens when you do something, that, you know, the next year it takes a few years to give it momentum. So has there been any type of negative feedback or something that has been like didn't feel right? Or
Well, not negative for me, but there was one question that continuously came up both years. And it's not a negative, but some people can probably construe it as a negative. And while we have, what you're actually telling us right now is that you're bringing this platform for other people to know that we need to be more diverse in our sewing community. Well, the question that kept coming up was, can we include Mimi G? Now, everybody in the sewing community, I think, knows Mimi G. And yes, she is a part of all of this, the makers, matter and the movement, because she is a minority. But this was Black History Month, and she identifies herself as Puerto Rican, and that's the only reason that she wasn't there. And it's not a negative, it's just the way she identifies herself, so, and I don't think I can't speak for her, but I don't think she'd have a problem, because she would understand that. But if we had, if it's a diverse, she would be included, most definitely.
Yeah.
And yes, that was definitely a common question we receive all the time. And another thought that would come up is people would, what I noticed in some of the feedback is that I think because, well, again, I don't know. I'm not in anybody's head, but as many sewing challenges that there are out there, and there's a lot, everybody can participate in many, but I did notice for some people, no matter how much we would say this is diverse, everybody participated, doesn't matter. The only caveat was you had to use a Black pattern designer. For whatever reason, there's always going to be people, they're just not doing that. No matter, even in our great sewing community, as diverse, and this is maybe just a very small percentage, very, very small percentage of those that if this challenge comes around, they're just not doing it. They're not supporting it. Why do you have to, I've gotten that question. Why do you have to highlight only Black pattern designers? Have you seen me? But yeah, it's one of those things, and you can't please everybody. No. Unfortunately, you can't please everybody, which is fine. And I'm very comfortable with just supporting Black pattern designers and really honing in on that and doing whatever I can to support that entire movement. But the other 98%, everybody just loves it, even if they don't participate. There are people who will just share the post. And that, to me, is participation in some way, support in some way. Even if you can't participate in the challenge, and everybody can't, reposting it, sharing it, shout outs, stuff like that, that helps a lot. Little do anyone knows, that helps a lot.
Yes, it does. It does.
Yeah. So I really hope that some of you guys here in the chat as well are feeling really inspired now to participate. And soon as Nateida has this list up, you can go, of course, and check out and do your research, because this is definitely, and also for me personally, I am just as well been ignorant about this. I mean, it's just the way it is in the sewing business, and this is not, just a case of the sewing world. This is a case that this is how the world looks like. So sometimes you have to say, this is the focus we need to do, because you need to lift those groups that don't give the same platforms. It's the same of many different groups. I mean, we have to say that now we have to focus on this, and because that's the only way that we can push the needle, right? Because we have to be very specific that now is the time to let other people shine as well. And I can also say that in the space that I move in, which is doing sewing books, it's the same situation, that I just looked into the Amazon sewing bestseller list, and I will have to say that I would say about 95% is white skin colored authors that are doing, giving book deals and stuff like that. So yeah, it runs like a pattern. Sorry for the, but yeah, it's a pattern that you can see in different areas of the sewing community. So, but the good thing is that when you're doing something like that, because then we have to like take on our glasses, right, and be mindful and like, okay, I have to take that extra step. And what's so good about what you're doing now is that you're giving us the tools that maybe weren't seeing that diverse spectra, right? Because we were so narrow-minded of what the media was feeding us, right? And now you are saying, look, here's a smorgasbord, because I'm saying a Swedish word, a smorgasbord, right? of pattern designers, wonderful sewing creatives, and that are probably really struggling, because that's the reality. Running a sewing business, it's a tough situation, tough way to make a living. But now you're offering them as well a platform to shine, which is also one of the things that is so incredible about this initiative. So again, I just want to say thank you for doing this, and I'm very grateful, and it makes me very happy to hear that you are doing it again. So, and hope you will have some helpers next year as well, so you don't burn out with your kindness. So yeah. Because speaking about being, supporting diversity, do you think there are other ways as well that we can be more mindful about this when we, as you say, vote without dollars? How can we think about that, would you say?
I did a lot of thinking about that question when I saw it you sent it to us. I did a lot of thinking about it. And one of the things that I think of is, and I'm not speaking for every minority person, because I'm speaking for myself in the ways that I would suggest. Because one of the things you don't want to do is go to your friend, and you probably heard this, you don't want to go to your friend who's Black and just bombard them with all these questions about how can I help support you, because they're already dealing with a whole lot of stuff just like you are, and they don't want to be bothered with trying to teach you how to do this. So one of the things I can think, and I'm going to say this because this is my life, and it's just how I've been. Majority of my friends is eclectic. I probably have this beautiful person right here. I probably have 5 seriously close Black friends, female friends, and the remainder of them are all white. So when I say I'm conservative, because of my environment of work and everything, I'm conservative. And most of these friends have been my friends for over 15 years. And so what I'm saying is, when I look at my feed includes, if someone were to look at my feed of YouTube, my subscribers, or my feed from YouTube, I don't do Facebook that much, you would see a diverse feed. You would see just as many of just about every race there. And the reason is because I don't look at that. I look at what interests me. And what interests me is sewing and beautiful clothes and upbeat people and happy things. And to me, when you think about something like that, you can't put a color or a race on things that make you feel good or make you feel happy. There's got to be more than just a race or color. And so that's what I would say to people when and don't be quiet. Here's the thing that I've done as an introvert, but still, and as a shy person. I know I don't seem that way right now because I'm running my mouth, but I am. But even when I was at work, if somebody is being mistreated, no, I may not get the response I want, but I'm going to say something because it makes me feel good that I stood up for the right thing. And that's what I would suggest to people. Number one, don't stay quiet. If you see something you don't like, speak up. You might not get the result you want, but at least you have the knowledge in your head, and God knows that you have spoke up and tried to support, and do your best to do that. Reach out and collaborate with people that are not like you, but they have something that you like and you want to share with other people. I mean, these are just simple things. There's so many more. I'm sure Nateida has a lot. I don't want to go on and block her, but that's what I would suggest.
And I ditto everything that Myra said. And I think it's a lot going on in the sewing community. We know there's the Black Makers Matter movement. There's just a lot of spotlight on different companies, different businesses, how they're responding to Black sewists in the sewing community, different things of that nature. And when this, I won't say began, it's hard to say, when this all started a few weeks ago with the protest. Yeah, things got elevated with that, but to put it bluntly, I was Black long before that.
Yes.
And a lot of the systematic racism had already, that was kind of my everyday. So right. It became more elevated, I understand, to the rest of the world because we're in lockdown. Because of the pandemic, while a lot of people don't like it, one of the things that it has opened up to, no one can escape what is going on now.
Right.
And so one of the things that I guess that for me, like Myra said, I struggled with, and I would appreciate as well, people don't ask me, what do I need to do?
Right.
It's like teaching you how to be kind, teaching you
Right.
how to be respectful, teaching you not to just do things that, well, I don't know how people were raised. Maybe, there are people that are raised different, but you're not raised to be mean and ugly and push
Right.
people to the side. It's like, don't ask me what you should do, just do you. But realize, yeah, we're all different
Right.
skin colors and everything like that, but we all
Right.
need to be treated the same. It
Correct.
really shouldn't matter. And yes, you can support different Black pattern designers and different things of that nature by all means. In different ways, you know about it, then you support it, and the more educated you just get around the subject, it's just, you're, like you said, Johanna, your eyes are open and you're like, oh wow, I never really thought about that in this
Yes.
way before. And it just gives an extra layer of understanding. And because you can't force people to do or be something or someone that they're truly not, because it's gonna come out. Is
Right.
There are a lot of people, sad to say, during this time that are acting as if, oh, this support, and oh, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, but it won't be long lasting. I guarantee. In a few months from now, a year from now, those very same individuals or people will go back to doing exactly what they were doing before. But because we're in this special time right now, a lot of people are just jumping on the bandwagon instead of taking an introspective look
Right.
of their own behaviors, of their own, the way that they, talk to their friends, family, because we're on social media. You see the pretty pictures on Instagram, Facebook, the nice videos all edited up. We don't know what people are doing behind this camera, how they're living their life. That will collide at some point, and you will see that true person come out from behind the camera at some point. And you are seeing it a lot during this time right now that we're in.
Yes. And, and it doesn't, when I talked about my friends, and I can honestly say this, Lord knows that I'm telling you the truth. Not one of my friends who are white or Asian has said anything to me about how they can support me in this troubled time. But I know that they do support me. I know that they do. And the other thing that I would like to say to people, when you're looking at, your feeds and who you are following or who you're subscribing to, what about your dollars? How are you supporting? Are you supporting? I mean, there's Patreon, there's Ko-fi, there's a multitude of things. Are you supporting any of these people? Do you like any of these people? Why don't you like any of these people? I mean, these are, like Nateida said, you have to look inside to see what's going on in yourself and why you're not speaking up or why you're not doing this. I know that we're all comfortable with people who are like us. And when I say that, I don't just mean color, it's everything. Because if you go to a place, and let's just say you're going to a conference or some kind of setting, you're going to be attracted to the people that are more like you. We know this. It's a human thing. But how about stretching that and becoming more comfortable with people who are not like you? You might find something very interesting that you love. So that's just what I'm saying. I'm going to shut up now.
Yes, thank you so much for you. I just want to say you get so much love in the comment section now. There are people saying, heart, 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 and kudos, ladies. Myra, your friends see your heart. Put your money where your mouth is. Hang in there, ladies, says Barbara. And Catherine says this discussion is the best. So I knew that I was going to have a really good on air. So I was making sure that I got the best team on for this. So I just want to say that, and I'm very happy that you addressed this, because that is something that is so easy to, you get these additional expectations, right? That you have to speak, for the people or the group that you're representing and all that stuff. So I'm very happy that you share with this, that this is not, this is where a time for those of us, and I include myself in that, who has been blind, to a lot of the things when it comes to both racism and lack of diversity. So I feel it's my responsibility now, as I said, I have to take on my glasses and be really critical about the stuff. And as you know, what am I doing with my buying power? Who am I following on social media? That's also a great example as well. And you know, there are so many. Sometimes I feel sometimes maybe they can seem a little bit small, but I think that those daily choices that you make will compound over time, right? So that even because that's how you build awareness, and that's how you become like a more multifaceted, more socially aware, more kind person, basically, because you're able to embrace more perspective than your own, because that's our duty as humans, I think, especially those, and now I'm going to speak for myself, those who's been born with a lot of privilege, as I feel I have been myself, and I feel that I have a responsibility, especially to be mindful and be introspective and listen and try to learn. So I'm very happy that you share this, because that's also very important to remember that, you know, this is a responsibility, shared responsibility, right? This is not something that you have to lay on one particular person or one particular group. Sorry for I went rambling now. I should interview you guys, but I feel so passionate about this myself.
Yes, and that's what we need more of, people who are passionate, who, you know, really see this for what it is, and that's what they want to focus on. It's just everybody, all inclusive, period. That's the end of it. Yeah. Everybody.
I agree.
So I also want to now, because you're not just engaged in this, you're also very active in the sewing community, and you both have YouTube channels as well. So I'm first a little bit curious about that. What are your plans right now? Do you have any sewing plans going on? What you're planning for summer?
Wow. Nateida, you want to go first?
Well, today I actually I did another sew along, so it's for a makeup bag. So go check it out if you haven't. And there's quite a few sew alongs on the channel. What my channel has, I won't say it shifted that much, but I'm being a little bit more intentional, maybe the word is, on my channel in the plus size sewing community, to encourage, because I get a lot of emails and DMs of plus size women who sew, but are just kind of shy about making certain things or don't know how to do certain steps and different things of that nature. So I have probably, I would say, honed in the focus of the channel a little bit more around plus size sewing. And so that's what you'll see coming up on the channel. And what I'm working on is really a response to some videos I did recently about ready to wear fashions that we can recreate plus size fashion. So I have quite a few of those that I am working on behind the scenes that I'll be bringing to the channel over the next few weeks. So yeah, I'm very, very excited to just, because for a while there, I couldn't bring my mind to sewing with everything that was going on. I was just kind of stuck. But now I kind of feel, okay, I'm ready. And now I feel like I have a project going on all the time, something's going on. So yeah, so that's what's coming up on the channel.
Oh, that's awesome. So SewNaturalDane, and links, of course, is to the channel, but you are everywhere. So I think it will be very easy to find you. So we're really looking forward to more content. And Myra, do you have any plans for your channel or other stuff going on?
Yeah, well, I've kind of been working on that behind the scenes and not very vocal about a lot of it, but I'm moving into a direction for my YouTube channel, which is what I want to build on, because I started it back in 2017. And I actually started with a blog back in 2010. And that I have put on hiatus now because I really want to focus on YouTube. And I love making pretty clothes and I love helping people. And I get a lot of comments because I do different things on my channel, from clothing to cloning to other things. And as Nateida knows, I do get a lot of questions from people and they want me to do certain things. So I want to do more of that for people. I don't like doing sew-alongs. I'm just going to put that. Nateida already knows this. But I will do a tutorial for people, you know, if it's something that I think a lot of people, because let's face it, these things are a lot of work. Both of you know that putting together a tutorial is not an easy thing. And I don't just want to waste my time putting something out there that is only going to get 2 views. I'm sorry. I love all of my subscribers to death, but you know, it's just one of those things. So I want to focus more on my channel, and I've been doing so many challenges and collaborations. I haven't done as many collaborations that I would like to have done, but this year I just want to focus on my channel. So that's what I'm doing. I'm kind of slowing down, and I'm going to focus more on my YouTube channel and trying to build that. And I love doing this stuff. I love sharing. I love helping people. And when Nateida, I can't say it enough, when Nateida started this hashtag for Black History Month pattern designers, I think it's something that's needed. We need to keep doing it. And yes, I didn't get those questions that she got. It would have perturbed me had I, only because look at the feeds. All you have to do is look at the feeds in social media. And I don't care where it is, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, wherever. What is the majority do you see? To those people that ask Nateida that question, do you see a lot of minorities in those? And especially in our sewing community, specifically in our sewing community, in our creative sites. And if you don't, that's the answer to your question. And we shouldn't get that question again. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm sorry to preach, but
no, but we're here to talk. We're here to talk about this stuff, and that's also, as I said, that's also a way of, you know, widening your perspective. Because I mean, there are so many minority groups, people of colors that are creating sewing content, and what I like about YouTube actually is because I feel like it kind of leveled the playing field a little bit, right? Because when it comes to, you know, for instance, getting you know, a contract with the big 4 for the sewing pattern companies, that's like many hoops you have to go through. Mm-hmm. And you know, for getting like a sewing book contract, or you know, being featured in some of the mainstream media, that's mm-hmm. But the good thing I think about YouTube is that I feel that doesn't really, there are less hopes, you know, that you have to push against, even though of course, as we all know, as sewing YouTube content creator is a lot of work. And I'm yes. very happy for you to address this, Myra, because it is an enormous amount of work. But I also feel that one of the wonderful thing about the YouTube way of presenting sewing is that we're able to connect in a much more intimate way. I feel sometimes, and I would love to hear your thoughts about those, you guys in the comment section as well, that I feel that with Instagram, especially, which has kind of like substituted the blogs, you get such a like highlight reel of a lot of stuff, and you don't really get to see the process or learn to connect with the kind of sewist personality. And I feel that doing videos, albeit lots of work, it also allows us to connect in a much more, I think, genuine and, you know, more personal way, I feel. Mm-hmm. I don't know what your experience, and I would love to hear you in the chat as well, how you feel about that, because that's one of the wonderful things about YouTube, that is so, it's a lot of work, but it's also very intimate in a way, like almost like a friendship that, you know, evolves with the people watching and you. So yeah.
And that's exactly what I thought when I started doing Periscope. I think I did it back in 2015. I still have an account, and I still may pop up on Periscope from time to time. But I went from blogging to the Periscope. That was the next format that went live. And you're right, Johanna, that was the connection that I felt with people, because it was live and they got to ask me questions right away and I got to respond to them. And as everybody who subscribes to me know, if you ask me a question and I don't know what the answer is, I'm going to find somebody who does. So you'll get your answer. But I really like the connection with people. And that's why I want to really build on my YouTube channel. And that's what I want to focus on for the future.
Yep, I totally agree. It is something a little bit more personable, even though you, for most part, unless you're live like we are today, it is edited, but you still see a little bit more of a person's personality, yes. Things that they like. And you all both have probably experienced this, where you might mention something on your channel, months, weeks go by, and the subscribers say, hey, guess what? I saw this or found this and thought of you. You might like it, you know, and it's like,
Yes.
oh, wow, somebody paid attention to something I said.
Exactly. Exactly.
And so I know you both have experienced that too from your subscribers. And it's like, wow, even if it's just one person or it happens periodically, it lets you know that people really are watching, are paying attention, which means, you know, you need to make sure that you continue to deliver on those things that you talk about.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely forms a really strong relationship. And also, you can address it for so many different ways. I mean, you can do sew-alongs, and you can do like, you know, just talk about the garments you're making, like doing reviews. And, you know, I talk a lot about like mindset stuff regarding sewing. I've talked about sewing and mental health. I mean, there are so many like, that's a cool thing about having a YouTube, because you can do it from so many different perspectives. And I know that everyone else watching is already a convert of doing sewing on YouTube, right? Because that's why you're here. But I think that's why it adds so much valuable context to sewing, because there are so many different ways of consuming sewing, and you can, and that's also a good example of diversity, because each of our channels have their own particular personality and content, and yeah, so there's something for everyone, and I'm really happy to see that you guys are working on it. I'm going to be honest, there are some days I feel like there's so much work, I'm going to drop this channel. but then, you know, then it's like I do a video and I get this amazing response, and I get so many new ideas from the comments, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to still do it. It's like almost a little bit addictive. And the same with this live stream as well, that I feel I'm a little bit stressed about the technology, but then when we're live, I just feel, you know, the engagement and the love and all the wonderful input, and that really brings so much energy to my own life as well. So it's wonderful to have this channel.
And I'm glad you said that too, because I was looking in the comments and someone said that, because I had it on my mind. I'm glad she said that because she made me remember it. But one of the things is YouTube itself has some issues that they have to deal with. They started trying many years ago, a few years back, because I know they did a YouTube Black thing, but they really need to work on their algorithms, because a lot of times in those feeds, they're not pushing out those people's, the people who are minority, their videos, so they can get seen. I know once you get to that level where yours is monetized and you can do certain things, they should be pushed out with, you know, all of the other ones. And a lot of times, I don't know how they're doing it, but their algorithms do not match for minority people for some reason. So YouTube has a lot of work that they have to do as well. And I agree with you. I get so emotional with my subscribers. And I don't know how many of you guys are out there, if you are or not, but I get so emotional with them, because everybody that come in comments, it's like I'm talking to a friend. I want to see their comments so I can respond back, you know. I mean, look at the people that I've met so far. I mean, beautiful people like yourselves, you know. I mean, who wouldn't want this? I mean, I just say why.
Right.
Let's get it together, people. Let's just get it together.
Yeah, and definitely. And we are also wonderful thing is that we are also able to connect and share conversations like this that we are having right now. I am sitting here in Sweden, and we have our own fair share of diversity issues and, you know, segregation and all that things as well. And it's so good that we can have this discussion, and you can share your experience and I can listen, and it's like it's such an exchange of so many things, which is also a wonderful thing about having this platform, that we're also able to connect from a global perspective and, you know, learn from each other. And I think that also helps to create a better place, right? Because we're able to listen to other perspectives and not just stay with our own very tiny lane that we have. Yeah.
Because I know you guys are tired of hearing it. You know, some of you who complain that, oh my gosh, but face it, it is not a cliche. We are all truly the same. If all of us got a cut on us right now, we would all bleed red. All three of us would bleed red. We are truly the same. And there are bad and good in each and every one of our colors from everywhere. So I don't understand And I want someone to make me understand why we should be different. I mean,
Yeah.
different, other than different in personality, different in style. Now, those are differences that make it, that matter, that are really good differences. I mean, I have a certain style. Nateida has a certain style. Johanna has a certain style. But there are a multitude of people who like all three of our styles.
Yes.
So all I can say is let's get it together, people. If you learn anything, any takeaway from this video, watching the three of us talk, please, let's get it together.
Yes. Ditto.
Becky says, amen, Myra. So, I think we couldn't go out on a better note for this live stream. So I always do 1 hour just because I need to keep my own boundaries, right? Because it's late here in Sweden as well.
Yeah.
And I just want to say I am so incredibly happy that you wanted to join my first ever live interview session, and for sharing your experience and, showing how we can think differently, open our eyes, and, again, this is the hashtag you need to follow every day. and then go and keep your eye on Nateida when she's uploading that new list also as well, so we can do more, all of us, starting right now.
And congratulations on your new book, Johanna.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yes, yesterday I took the last photo, so now I have all the editing done, and then it's going to the printer. So yeah, it's a lot of work.
Feel like you can breathe now, right?
Yeah. I feel like this is going to be. It's like, I'm in a weird mental state right now. But you're right. It's definitely, I've been under the water, right, and I'm going slowly now up for air. So. So it's but it was absolutely such a wonderful and energetic way to finish off this intensive weekend. And again, I want to just show we have, first of all, Myra. Head over to Instagram, follow her, One So Sweet, and of course Myra Lorraine on YouTube. And we also have Nateida, which is SewNaturalDane on Instagram, and you're also SewNaturalDane on YouTube as well, right? If I'm not mistaken. So stay tuned for more content. I also want to give a big shout out to all you guys in the chat, and for the wonderful support, and for joining this important conversation. I wish you a fantastic Sunday and a nice summer or winter if you're on the other side of the globe. And well, thank you so much for joining. And I will do a break now for the live streams and come back after the summer, because I do need a break, because I'm a little bit overwhelmed right now.
And thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you so much, Johanna. Greatly appreciate it. It was a wonderful conversation today.
Yes.
Thank you.